This is Eunice, and welcome to the Journey Home podcast. So, I cannot believe it's August, but I did commit in my heart that in August I would restart my podcast and start a new season. So, I hope that all of you guys have been having a wonderful summer. I know that we have. My goals this summer was really just to relax and to hang out with people. And thankfully, that has come to pass. And I'm really grateful for how relaxing this summer has been. So today I wanted to jump on with something that I've been thinking about and that I wanted to share with you all. And that is on the topic of comparison, but also staying in our lane to whatever the Lord has called us to. So I want to share from Psalm 139, starting at verse 13. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Now, I wanted to focus on that last part in verse 16. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Now, something that I just have been thinking about in terms of comparison and in terms of staying in our lane is this. Last week, my husband and I got to attend a conference for leadership in California. And it was a really awesome time to gather with other leaders from different churches in the network that our church is a part of. And so at first I was like really excited. It was really exciting to be there. But something that I realized by the end, that it was like this like temptation kind of creeping in. Because I realized, like, talking to different people at different churches and hearing how they do certain things in their ministries and stuff, I realized how a conference like that could really foster an environment of comparison and comparing, like, oh, like, your pastor's wife does it like that, or your pastor does it like that, or your children's minister does it like that. And I realized how very quickly in our minds, like as you're just having a conversation with someone, I could just quickly get into kind of like a comparison trap. Anyone feeling me out there? And so whether it's about ministry, or I realize this even among moms for summer plans, is like, oh, what are you doing this summer? You know, or what camps are your kids going to this summer? Or what vacations are you guys going to this summer? And what travels do you have? And this and this and this. And I realized very quickly in the beginning of summer, that was also an opportunity to fall into a comparison trap. Is like, oh, my kid is going to A, B, C, D, E camp, like, tennis camp, lacrosse camp, STEM camp, all these things that are all amazing things. But I realized, like, quickly things can go really quickly and spiral into like, oh, you're going on this like amazing vacation. I've never gotten to go on that kind of vacation. Or for some others, you're taking this trip with your kids. My kids have never been on that kind of a trip. And trust me, you can be listening to me and think like, oh, Eunice, no, that's just you. And I would say, no, that's not true. Because this is actual conversations I've had with other people where they'll be telling me about like, a conversation they had with this group of moms at this and this at school, or like in church or whatever. And then I feel like very quickly, all of us can get caught in this comparison trap. Is like suddenly the summer plans that I had don't feel good enough, or like suddenly the things that we were going to do as a family don't feel grand enough, or at church, like I said, suddenly all the plans that we had don't feel like thought through well enough. Or do you know what I mean? And I just realized how it is actually a trap. I really felt like the Lord was kind of like making me like kind of snap out of it and hear like, oh, Eunice, an hour ago you were happy with that. So what's happening in your head right now that you've heard this person's doing that, or this ministry's doing that, or should we do this and add this in? And I realized that it was something that the Lord was reminding me, is you're going to stay in your lane. And so even though I had an amazing time in California, I realized, like, coming back to our home church on Sunday, coming back home into our home with our kids again, I loved just being home, because I really feel like the home that we're in, the church that we're in, the roles that we have at church we're all ordained for us. And because of that, there is great joy and peace and contentment in that. And to not forget where we were called, what we're called to do. And so I felt like I wanted to share this word with you guys as the school year begins too, for a lot of you, or maybe as you're finishing the last weeks of summer, is maybe we need to reposition ourselves and lay our expectations before the Lord again, and be like, Lord, these are the last weeks of summer. What do you want me to do this summer? Or, this fall is coming up. Like, maybe putting my kid in that sport isn't really what's going to be the most helpful for our family. Or maybe adding that extra class in for us is going to make our schedule too hectic and things like that. And to really be laying our plans before the Lord, not just because, oh, this seems like a good idea because all the other kids in my kid's grade are doing that, or this seems like a good idea just because I think it's a good idea, but really like laying those things before the Lord and seeing what He has for your family, what He has for your own life. Because I feel like very quickly we can all get stuck in this trap. And very quickly it can cause us to become discontent, cause us to kind of separate from what the Lord had us doing. And I think that is something to ponder. So one time, I got to meet this awesome Christian author that I really admire. And I remember asking her, like, how she has been so faithful in ministry, how she has held her heart in ministry for so many years. I mean, she's been a minister for decades. And I remember her telling me in the aisles of Target, she said, Eunice, the Lord wants us to be faithful and to stay in our lane. And as we are faithful and stay in our lane, it's like that is when He will open up the right doors, the right opportunities for us. But first, we need to be faithful and to really know what we're called to and stay in our lane. And that's something that I just want to encourage you guys with, because those words really struck with me. I think of them time to time. And honestly, coming back from this California trip, I've been thinking about it as I'm like, I just need to be faithful to the things that I know the Lord has called me to. And yes, it's cool to glean from other people, but at the same time, I also need to do that without forgetting the main things that I am called to, the main things that I'm supposed to be doing in this season. And so that's where I just want to encourage you, whether this is relevant to you in your workspace, or as a parent in your family space, I really encourage you, stay in your lane. Don't give into that comparison trap, because really the Lord, He has a plan for each one of us, and He's made each one of us so unique. And that's why we need to commune with Him daily, to really be in line with everything that He wants in our life, honestly. And so, I hope that this word encourages someone out there, because I really do believe that it is a life lesson, not just in leadership, but especially in leadership, but also just in regular life, is that we need to remember to be faithful in what God has called us to. And what He has asked of me is not the same as what He's asked of my neighbor or this neighbor over here, and to stop looking to my right and left and to really just stay focused in what the Lord has called me to. And so I hope that some of you are encouraged by this word. And if nothing else, I just want to encourage you to pray. If you're wondering and listening to me and you're like, what is my lane? What has the Lord asked us to do? What is the lane for my family? What is the lane for my ministry, or whatever is? I want to encourage you to take time to pray, because really you won't know these things you won't know what the Lord has in store for you if you're not daily communing with Him in His Word, in prayer. And so I hope that this encourages you to really dig deeper in communion with the Lord. So I hope that you will enjoy the rest of your August, and I will jump on here again in the next week or two. Have a good day. Bye bye.